Try to review this algebra work that you should have seen at some point last year somewhere. It's okay if you don't remember it, because absolutely I am going over it again right now. But my objective for you is that students will be able to convert any quadratic into vertex form using completing the square. Completing the square. Now, standard form of a quadratic, again, we mentioned this Friday, was that it's ax squared plus bx plus c. So you do descending order of the powers of your variable. A, b, and c are just the coefficients in front. Okay, so those are just numbers. Now, when I say vertex form, it's like this. And we're not necessarily going to use vertex form. What we're really looking for is this right here. We want to put our quadratics over here into this perfect square form. So we're not necessarily using this vertex form. That's more like algebra 2. But this is the standard equation of a circle. And as you can see, it's very similar. But it uses both x and y. So, like I said, we're going to just practice getting our algebra, our quadratics into this form. And I'll show you how to solve it so that when we get to this form tomorrow on the standard equation of a circle, your algebra will be in place. So, what we've been doing with quadratics is we always factor them, right? We go, well, this is going to be x, this is going to be x. What two numbers multiply to give me 55? Negative, but then when I combine them, they give me negative 6x. Well, I don't have to actually factor them. I can just use this other method called completing the square. So this is how it works. First of all, completing the square only works as if the coefficient in front of your squared term is 1. So if it's not 1, you have to fix that first. But these are all 1, 1n squared, 1x squared, we're good. What you're going to do is you're going to take these x's and keep them on the same side, but we're going to move the negative 55 over to the other side. So we have a positive 55 over here. Now, you're going to leave a space here, and what you're going to do is you're going to identify A, B, and C, right? A is 1, B is negative 6, C was negative 55. You're going to take half of B. So negative 6 is B, half of it is negative 3, and then you're going to square it and add it to both sides. This keeps it equal, and this turns this into a perfect square. So you can then rewrite this as x minus 3, because whatever you added here, whatever's inside that parenthesis, that's what goes here. And then on this side, it's going to be 55 plus 9, which is 64. And so we have something that looks very similar to this now, right? We've just gotten that into a perfect square. If I want to then solve it, I just have to undo it, undo the square by square rooting both sides. So the square and the square root cancel each other, and I get both positive and negative 8. I'm going to add 3 to both sides here. So I'll just go over here. So I get x equals 3 plus 8. That's one answer. And I also get 3 minus 8. That's what plus minus means. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I get one answer of 11, and I get another answer of negative 5. So if you were looking for what x is, this is how you would solve it. But if you just want to put it in perfect square form, then you get down to this line. So I'm trying to sort of pull this all together. This is why you used it last year, because we were solving for x with quadratics. And while we're using it this year, it's because we want to put it into this standard equation form. So, any questions? Then I'll go ahead and keep going on number 2. Now, n squareds by itself. Again, like I said, I needed them together, so I have to move this negative 14n over here. I'm going to leave some space here, and it's equal to negative 37. And again, the completing this square space, you take half of b, whatever's in front of that single variable. So you take half of that, that's 7, and I add that squared. I add that squared. That's why it's called completing the square. This is now a perfect square, so I can rewrite it as a square. It's n plus 7, because the 7 comes from here. And then this is 49. So 49 minus 37 is 12. This again is the important part for circles, but just to show that we can solve it, we will continue square root both sides. N plus 7 equals, I'm just going to go ahead and reduce it now, simplify it, positive negative 2 root 3. So n, if you were going to solve for both of those numbers, it's negative 7 plus 2 root 3, and it's negative 7 minus 2 root 3. That's your final answer for the ends. Any questions? Okay, I'm hoping that you're color coding right along with me. That's going to be the easiest thing for you. So I'm looking at number 3. Same thing. I need to get my x's on one side and my numbers on the other side. So I have an x squared here, so I'll move my x over here, and I'll move my 15 over here, and then we'll go from there. So that's the first thing I need to do. So take away an x from both sides. I'm going to leave a space here. And then this side, it's 2 minus 15. This is where I'm going to, at this point, I take half of b, I square it, and add it. This side is now a perfect square because I made it that way. I put that here, whatever it was you added to both sides. Now this is 49 minus 13, so that's 36. Again, this is what's important to be able to go from here to here for circles, but just for the sake of review, we're going to keep going with those examples, and that's both plus and minus 6. So x equals 7 plus 6 and 7 minus 6. Nope, so sorry, that's a mistake. I have to take away 7 from both sides. So it's negative 7 plus 6, and it's negative 7 minus 6. So my two answers here are going to be negative 1 and negative 13, if I want to do that. So again, any questions right now? Okay, so now that hopefully everybody remembers that, and if I was sitting in front of you or you were sitting in front of me, I would say raise your hand or give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. But what I'm going to do now that we remember that skill from last year is I'm going to show you how the equation of a circle works and show you how the sketch would work. Okay, so a circle equation looks like this, where you have both x's and y's, And then this HK is the center of your circle. And the R on the other side here is the radius. So the actual equation is an R squared. I don't know if you can see that. So if we take an equation like this and we put it into this form, we just sort of push it around until it looks like that, then we'll know the center and the radius, which is what defines a circle. And that's all that defines a circle. So like for me, you know, I love to color code. So here's my x squared and here's my x. And so you're going to have to group your x and your y together. So they're sort of separate. So here's my y squared, here's my separate y, and then my 31, that's going to have to get moved over here. So it's the same process, it's just twice. So I'm going to rewrite all of these over here. So the x squared plus 8x, and then I'm going to leave a space, and then it'll be plus y squared minus 16y, and I'm going to leave another space, and then the 31 is going to come over here as negative 31. So again, I want to make these three terms, whatever I put there, into this form, and I want these three to be put into that form as well. So let's repeat the process. Take half of b, so that's 4, and you add it squared. Of course, if I do it here, I also have to do it all the way over here, because I'm not just throwing numbers in willy-nilly, I'm actually balancing my equation. And then this one here, half of that is negative 8. So I'm going to be adding negative 8 squared and both places. I'll be adding negative 8 squared. Now I should be able to rewrite it like this. So this becomes x plus 4 squared, because it's whatever that is, plus y minus 8. You could put plus negative 8 if you wanted, but. And then let's figure out what these numbers are. So I've got 31 negative plus 4 squared is 16, and then that's going to be 64. So I get a total of 49, which is nice because it's a square number. Now, in the beauty that is a circle, this is the x-coordinate of the center, and this is the y-coordinate of the center, if it's in this form. And then this is the radius squared. So from this information, I can get that the center is negative 4, positive 8, and the radius is 7. 49 is 7 squared. And so if you have these two things, you can graph it super simple. You just go negative 4, positive 8. And of course, you need a better graph here, but then you count 7 units radius, all 4 directions. So here's 1, here's 2, the third one's going to be somewhere up here, and then that's going to be, let's see, 4, 10, so it'll be like 11. And then you sketch it. I'm not great at circles, but literally that's how you do it. That's the sketch of a circle. So if you can hopefully see the difference on how simple it is once you get it in this form, just bam, you've got a circle. So it all comes back to this algebra that you learned last year, and I want to make sure you remember again. Okay, I want to do one more with you as an example. before I turn you loose. Now I have 3 on the back, and they're all very similar. Okay, they all have x squareds and y squareds. So I think I've got some shorts on there. I think I'll go ahead and do this one, just because it's at the top, and then it'll give you time to practice more on your own. So again, let's do some color coding. I want my X's are yellow, my Y's are light blue, and then the 4 is going to come over here as a negative. So let's see if you can anticipate the steps on this next one. So x squared plus 14x. I got my x's together. Space plus y squared minus 12y. Space equals negative 4. So don't forget to move that sign. This is where we're going to create our perfect squares. Again, I'm going to take half of 14, square, and add it. For this one, I'm going to take half of b, so that's negative 6 squared. And I leave it like that instead of writing 36. You may be wondering why I'm doing that. I leave it like that because when I put it in this form, it reminds me to put in a minus 6, not a plus 6. So this is x plus 7, because that was 7. And this is y minus 6. And then let's see what these numbers come out to. Got a negative 4 plus 7 squared plus 6 squared, and it comes out to 81. Perfect. So if I did want to sketch this, that's the x part of the center, that's the y part of the center. That's my center. And then my radius is 9, because that's 9 squared. So I go negative 7, positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know why both of these are off. Then 9, so I go over here, here. This one would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like way over here. So this is just a huge circle that sort of goes off the grid. But there's a couple more if you want to practice. Again, it's page 579, 13 to 18 that I'm going to have you do independently and turn in. These are just notes.